Hey guys, welcome back. It's me. Today, we are going to be talking about how to move into your first apartment. In my last video, we talked about how to save up for an apartment, and we got a lot of comments asking about how we budgeted for our first apartment. And even before that, when Andrew and I were dating, we lived on one income and saved for two. So if you guys are interested in hearing how we managed to save up for our down payment on our house and how we currently budget now that we own a home, stick around because I am sharing all of those tips next week. But today we're talking about how to budget when you're moving into your first apartment. So let's get started. No. 1. Start with a budget that works for you. There are a ton of different ways to budget and a ton of different methods out there. If you search it online, you will find so many resources from personal finance blogs, apps like We or Every Dollar, YouTube videos just like mine. But if you have been following along, then you know that we like to start with cash. We use the envelope method where we have separate envelopes for groceries, gas, eating out, and fun money. Then we have a couple different savings accounts. So what we do is we take 10% of the check that Andrew gets and we put it straight into his savings account. That goes directly into his paycheck. That way he doesn't even see it. And then another 10% goes into our joint checking account. We don't touch that unless it's for savings goals or paying off debt. Everything else that we spend our money on comes out of our joint checking account. So that's why I like to start with cash, because it's visual and tangible. I can actually see it, I can feel it, I can touch it. It helps us stay accountable and stay on track with our spending. There are a couple different popular methods out there. One is the 50, 30, 20 rule. So 50% of your income goes towards needs, 30% goes towards wants, and 20% goes towards savings and debt repayment. But we found that when we were living in a high-cost area like San Francisco, it was really hard to stick to that 50, 30, 20 rule because rent was just so expensive. So we actually ended up doing more like a 60, 30, 10 split. So 60% went towards our needs, 30% went towards our wants, and only 10% went towards savings. Once we moved to a more affordable area, we were able to go back to that 50, 30, 20 rule. And actually, some financial experts say that it's okay to split your budget any way that works best for you and your financial situation. Some people even recommend splitting it up into 4 different categories. So maybe 40% of your income goes towards housing, 30% goes towards transportation, food, utilities, insurance, things like that. 20% goes discretionary spending, and then 10% goes towards savings. So after you figure out your budget and how much you can afford to spend, let's talk about No. 2. How much should you actually be saving? Number 2, how much should you be saving? So when you are renting an apartment, you want to make sure that you have enough money saved in order to cover at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses in case you lose your job, your hours get cut, something unexpected happens. Having that safety net gives you peace of mind, and it gives you time to find another job or another source of income if you need it. So let's say that your rent is $1,000 a month and your utilities are $100 a month and your internet is $50 a month. So that's $1,150 a month that you're spending on your living expenses. The great thing about having an emergency fund is it can also cover medical expenses, car repairs, things that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And I think the average American only has about $400 in his bank account at any given time. So having 3 to 6 months of your living expenses saved up gives you a lot of peace of mind. Now, 3, track your spending. So once you've established a budget and figured out how much you can afford to spend, the next step is to track your spending and make sure that you're staying on track. So this is why I like to use the envelope method. Like I said before, we can see it, we can feel it, we can touch it. It helps us stay more accountable and more aware of how much we're spending. We also like to use the zero-based budget method. So every single dollar that comes into our account has a job or a purpose. When we were living in our first apartment together, we were both making really low salaries and we were trying to save for a house at the same time. So tracking our spending and making sure that we weren't overspending in any category was super important. So we made sure that every single dollar had a purpose. If you want more tips on how to track your spending, I did a whole video on that last month, so I'll link that down below. Also, I'm not opposed to using technology to help with tracking your spending. There are tons of different budgeting apps out there like YNAB, Every Dollar, Personal Capital, so there are free options and paid options. I personally use a combination of the envelope method and a budgeting app. And number 4, cut back where you can. So whether you trying to save for an apartment, or you already living in an apartment and you trying to save for something else or pay off, finding ways to cut back and save more money is always helpful. And we've done several videos on this, so I'll link those down below too. But some of the easiest places to start cutting back is on your grocery bill. Meal plan, use coupons, use cashback apps, buy generic brands. Another place is on your utility bill. Make sure you're turning off the lights when you leave a room. Unplug the electronics when you're not using them. Use cold water instead of hot water to wash your clothes. Another place is on entertainment. Look for free activities in your area. Borrow books and movies from the library instead of buying them. Wait for things to go on sale. I know that it's tough sometimes to live below your means and to not spend your money when you want to. But if you're working towards a goal, then it might be worth waiting for a little bit. I know it's hard sometimes not to impulse spend, but if you find yourself wanting to buy something that's not a necessity, then wait a day or two before you buy it. Oftentimes, the urge to buy it will pass and you'll realize that you didn't actually need it. So, I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Next week, we are going to be talking about how to budget once you've already moved into your apartment. So, I'll see you guys then. Bye.